This is the Data Risk Manager dashboard splash page. This view gives a high-level overview of the data risk snapshot for a particular organization. As you can imagine, the charts over here are something which is configurable to a certain organization's context. But for the sake of this click through, let me go through some of these. So to start off, what you see at the top left is essentially a geographical distribution of where sensitive data assets are residing. You can also view where most of violations are occurring, where the most vulnerabilities are, and you can actually drill down into specific countries to view more granular details. If I go into the second chart, this is a better illustration of what Data Risk Manager represents. So what you have here is a breakdown of the different ground jewels data, so the most critical data for any organization, but not based on infrastructure elements such as applications or databases, but rather by divisions or business entities. So for instance, the claims auto data represents almost 20% of the ground jewels data which the organization processes, while claims property probably represents less than 5%, which means the claims auto department is possibly at a higher risk of exposure if there is a breach. Some of the other charts represents the different kinds of information assets the organization processes, as well as trends and vulnerabilities which you would want to see reduce over time. If I now go into the dashboard menu item on the left, I get to what we call the information asset portfolio, which is nothing but an inventory of information assets or sensitive data assets. The different cells, such as controllers data, personal health data, pseudonymization, metadata, etc., represent what we call the information assets. And you also notice that these assets are organized in a grid kind of a structure. The grid in this case represents the taxonomy. The taxonomy in this case is claims in the y-axis and classification type in the x-axis. So for instance, the claims department, which is what this particular row represents, has controllers data which is confidential, it has pseudonymization metadata which is internally controlled, and it has PII confidential data which is personal identification. And that is what Data Risk Manager tries to bring in place, the amalgamation of sensitive data attributes with business attributes. So the thing which you would notice over here, for instance, for personal identification data is that it is at a higher risk. You also see certain numbers such as 124, 7, etc. over here. So let me click on personal identification data, and now I see more details with respect to personal identification data. If I choose this number 7, essentially what I see is that there are 7 alerts against personal identification data. I only see 1 over here because only one of them is classified as high. But if I click on this, I get to see more details about this particular alert. This alert, in this case, is sourced from Guardian, but it could be from any security tool which can potentially provide this alert, which is defined as a threat vector. And such threat vectors, along with other information such as vulnerabilities, contribute towards this asset being at a high risk. If I click on Oracle, I actually now see the different kinds of Oracle instances which contain personal identification data. I see one of them in amber, which indicates there is some risk aspect to it, while the one in green possibly is at a more mature level from a controls point of view. I also see other attributes such as which country this repository is located at, what is the risk associated with this repository, and any other details. And that is one key point with Data Risk Manager to remember. All these attributes which you see over here, including the taxonomy, is configurable as it is applicable to a certain client, and also within different roles within a certain organization. The other widgets which you see here, for instance, which are the applications which process or produce personal identification data, what are the processes in the organizations which are dependent on this personal identification information, and who are the stakeholders who are in any way related to personal identification information. For example, who is the owner who needs to be informed if personal identification is at high risk, because that may impact that particular person, while who are the custodians who have to take some action in terms of identifying why this particular asset is at risk, but also remediating and making sure that the risk is mitigated. Now, if I click on this particular arrow icon over here, I can drill down into more granular details about the assets, including what are the different data elements which constitute personal identification data. So I see all these tables, and if I click on the first table, I can actually see the different columns within those tables, which, as you can see, represent personal identification data. If I go into the infrastructure tab, I can get an infrastructure-based view. I see the different instances, platform instances, which contain personal identification data. I get to view vulnerabilities on those instances. As you can see, some of these vulnerabilities are sourced from Guardian, but you can actually filter it down to the different kinds of sources which can produce these vulnerabilities. So they could be from QRadar, it could be from AppScan, it could be from the competitor such as Imperva. Any product which can potentially provide a threat vector can provide a threat vector for Data Risk Manager. And that wraps up this click-through demo. Thank you.